Hello everyone, welcome to the Wooden Fish Story channel. Today, I will be talking about letting the wandering mind return home. I really enjoy listening to the chirping of insects because that is a moment of spiritual connection with all of nature. There is a sense of peace and tranquility that seems to run far and deep. The crows come from afar to join in the fun, but they're just calefare to the show. In one of Du Fu's poems, he wrote, "Quickly set off from Paxia to Wuxia, go past Xiangyang, and there Luoyang is." Let's try to picture this. Du Fu, who was made to flee from his hometown because of war, could finally embark on his journey back home with light steps and a bright mood. I'm guessing there is no one who would want to stay away from home forever. To let the wandering mind return home is something that we ought to put heart into in this life. This is what Sage Mencius was referring to when he said, "The way of learning is no other than to lead the stray mind back home." The most important thing to do in this life is to bring the stray mind back home. Saints and sages do this, and it is the same in Buddhism and Taoism. In Lotus Sutra, Buddha told the story of a poor man. Once upon a time, there lived a man who left his father and ran away from home at a young age. He roamed about for many years and lived in poverty. The father of this poor man was a wealthy old man with abundant riches at home. He had so much gold and silver, glass and coral, amber and jewelry that it was difficult to measure. He also had countless servants, elephants, horses, cows, sheep, cars, and more. Ever since his son left home, the wealthy old man often missed him. Because the wandering son was poor and had no one to rely on, he had to do servant work and beg wherever he went. One day, by luck or by fate, the poor man arrived in the city where his father lived. Right in front of the huge mansion, he caught a glimpse of the wealthy old man sitting on a lion bed. He was adorned with pearls and jade worth millions and billions of dollars, and there were many people revolving around him in respect. He appeared virtuous, powerful, and honorable. However, when the poor man saw the huge mansion, the only thing he felt was fear. He felt that this was not the place for him to make a living, and that he should go somewhere poorer where there may be more opportunities for laborious work. The wealthy old man, sitting on the lion bed, caught a glimpse of the poor man standing outside the gates and immediately recognized him. He was filled with joy. "The son I have missed so dearly has finally returned," he exclaimed in his mind. He immediately sent his men to go after him and bring him home. However, the poor man was petrified when he saw men chasing after him. He thought that he was getting arrested, so he screamed for mercy. The men continued to pursue him relentlessly, and the poor man got so frightened that he fainted then and there. The wealthy old man witnessed everything from afar and felt sorry for him. He sighed and told his men not to bring him back and just let him go. Later, the wealthy old man sent two common-looking men and told them, "Go, find where the poor man is, and find a way to get closer to him. Tell him there is a job here that pays twice as much as other places. If the poor man is willing to work here, bring him here. If he asks about the job, just tell him the job is to clear feces and urine. Both of you will be working with him as well." With that, The two men set off in search of the poor man and relate to him the old man's words. As expected, the poor man agreed to take up the job of clearing feces and urine. He even requested to be paid first before commencing work. Seeing that his son had become so lowly and willing to take up such a dirty job, the old man felt a lot of compassion for him. One day, in order to get closer to his son, the wealthy old man stripped himself of his gorgeous clothes and precious ornaments and dressed himself in coarse, tattered clothes. He picked up the tools used for clearing feces and made his way to where the poor man was working. He said to everyone who was working there, "You all have to work hard. Don't be lazy and loaf around." This was the only way he could be close to his son. He then turned to his son and said, "From now on, you shall keep on working here. There is no need to go anywhere else. I will give you an even higher pay, and if you find yourself lacking anything, just let me know. Do not worry anymore. Just settle down here. You have been diligent at work and have never been lazy nor deceitful. I can entrust you with more responsibilities. From now on, you are just like my biological son." Although the poor man was delighted to hear this, he still felt like he was just a temporary employee, a lowly servant. 20 years later, all thanks to the care and guidance from the wealthy old man, the poor man's heart has gradually opened up. He looked different, physically stronger and more confident, and got really good at managing wealth and riches. The only thing that remained the same was where he lived, in the old and shabby worker's shed. By this time, the old man had become old and frail. He could sense that he would not live for much longer. So, he told the poor man, "Now, all my warehouses are full of riches and treasures. You should know very well how much are in there. I now give all that I have to you. You will be in charge now. What's mine is yours too. You must take care of them with all your heart, and do not let these riches be squandered." The poor man followed the old man's instructions and took care of the mass of riches, including gold, silver, and all other treasures, but he still lived in the shabby worker's shed. His inferiority complex had not completely disappeared. The wealthy old man knew that the poor man had grown to be more sensible and secure, and had also found great aspirations. Hence, at his deathbed, he specially instructed the poor man to invite all the relatives to his home for a get-together. Then he declared to everyone, "This man right here is my long-lost son. I could not find him for decades, but now he is finally here with me. Lost but found. He is indeed my son. All the riches I have now will be inherited by my son." Upon hearing the father's declaration, the poor man had mixed feelings of sorrow and joy. He thought to himself, "Never have I imagined, nor dared to wish for such huge fortune. Suddenly, such a wealth of riches has become mine." The wealthy old man in this story is none other than Buddha, and the poor man is like practitioners of Hinayana, the smaller vehicle, or sentient beings who are lost. The poor man inheriting the huge fortune is a metaphor for cultivators who have transcended Hinayana and into Ekayana, one path, a shift in their spiritual pursuits and enlightenment. When one's aspirations are weak and small, he may not know it even when he is already home. He needs to rely on the guidance, teaching, and nurturing of a wise, enlightened being to realize that he had been home all along, to realize that he is a Buddha himself. Since ancient times, many Buddhas, saints, and sages have dedicated their entire lives to teaching and guiding sentient beings in their way to find their lost minds, to let their wandering minds return home. The Buddhas, saints, and sages have spent enormous effort just to make this simple concept clear to sentient beings. About 1,100 years ago in China, there lived a monk who loved walking around with a cloth sack, so he was known as the cloth sack monk, also known as Laughing Buddha. Once, somebody asked him what cultivation is and how to start. The cloth sack monk gently placed his sack on the floor and then stood there with his hands on his hips. After a while, he picked up the sack and walked away. What does this mean? This means to be able to pick up and let go, to take things as they come and go. Standing with hands on the hips means staying calm and rational, observing the true form of sentient beings. When it's time, pick it up again with ease. This is the attitude we should have facing the many burdens and responsibilities in life. To live in this world, to face endless responsibilities. Only when we master the art of picking up and letting go can we truly let the wandering mind return home. Did you like the story today? If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button. Goodbye.